Hi. So let me just say, this is a podcast episode, except when I recorded it for the podcast, I didn't record a visual for the podcast for YouTube. So it's not going to be exactly the same as the podcast, that if you do listen to the podcast on a podcast platform, it's not the same exact one, but it's pretty fucking close. So this is weird. I haven't done this before, but we're going to try this. If you hear a lot of sound, it's because I'm in my parents' house and they don't know how to not be loud. So that's what we're doing today.
So be the change. And if you don't want to be the change, you're not ready to be the change, then stop complaining.
So this is a mindset topic, a little different than the last mindset topic that we talked about, but I don't want this to get twisted. I don't want, like, the podcast, yes, we pretty much only talked about fitness or health in terms of fitness, but that's not it. That's not what health is. Not at all. That's not at all what health is. Health is so much more than lifting fucking weights and getting a sick aesthetic. It's so much more than that. And it starts way the fuck up here, guys. It starts all the way up inside of your mind. Nothing to do with your body. It's all in your fucking mind. If you got your mind right, you can do fucking anything. So that's what I want to talk about today. I've had a lot of clients, and every time I start talking with them, you know, they hit me up and they're like, I want to lose weight, I want to get a big butt, I want to get a flat stomach, I want all of these things for my body. And then they're gone. As soon as I tell them what they're in for, they're fucking gone. They don't want to hear it, because as soon as I'm like, hey, this is going to be hard, they're like, oh, yeah, no, I know, it's going to be hard. I'm like, okay, great. And then they ghost me, and then they're gone. So, and like, I used to get upset about it. I used to get really subconscious about it, but like, it's not about me. They just weren't ready. They weren't ready to be their change. They weren't ready to work hard to be their change. It was that. It wasn't that I was too aggressive. It wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing. I know exactly what the fuck I'm doing. Here you go. This is everything you need to succeed. If you do XYZ, you will attain what you are trying to attain. But you got to have the mindset to put the work in. And that's what people struggle with. So let's talk about why. Why is that the hardest part? Why is it so hard to put so much effort into yourself? I'll tell you why. Because it's hard. It's the hardest thing in the world to focus on yourself. It's the hardest thing in the world to break habits that you've been doing for your entire life. Habits that have came about because of your experiences, because of the people around you, you know, what's happened to you in your life. It's very difficult to break habits. Addiction, for example. Like, there's a genetic, biological facet to addiction, but it's not just that. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's a behavior. And it's very, 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 very difficult to nix habits and change behavior, especially when it's been a part of you for your whole life. This is going to sound cheesy, but think about it for a second. I read in a book one time that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is laziness. Open mind, please, okay? People today have a serious fucking case of laziness, because it's hard. It's hard to focus on yourself, to practice daily behaviors that you're not used to over a really long period of time, because none of the things that you want to change about yourself are going to change in a day or 2 days or a week or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months. It takes a lot of time. It takes so much more time, and so it's difficult, and it's so hard to remember why you started trying to change in the first place when you could just go back to the comfortable behaviors that you've been doing for your entire life, right? It's so much more comfortable to just deal with the negative self-image and, you know, close your eyes and pretend that nothing's wrong, because it's so much more comfortable that way, and rationalize why it's okay to go back to your shitty behaviors. The title of the episode, the podcast episode, was Your Friends Don't Want You to Get Better. So it's two friends. It's your actual friends, your friend, like people, other people, your friends that are people, and then the friend up here, the shitty little roommate inside of your head, that friend, which, by the way, is not your friend. The fucking thing inside your head is not your friend. That thing is your worst enemy, because it's going to tell you every single time that it's okay to do the comfortable thing that you have always done. There's another book that I read by Joe Dispenza. He's amazing. You should totally check him out. He's on like YouTube and stuff. Really, really great guy. He wrote this book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it's basically a framework for kind of readjusting your entire mindset. And so in this book, he talks a lot about like the science behind it, like neural connections and stuff, which science is hard for me. I don't totally get it, but I'm going to give you kind of the science for dummies explanation of what he's sort of talking about. So basically, every time you have an experience, a connection is formed in your brain. So obviously you have like a billion, zillions of these little neural connections, right? Neural pathways. And so every time you perform some action, that neural connection, that neural pathway gets stronger. That's my understanding of it, at least. Yeah, pretty close. Oh, read the book if you want to. So basically, like the saying, practice makes perfect. You've repeated that action so many times that it's like practically hardwired into your, it's not practically, it is hardwired into your brain. And so every time, it's like on that same concept, every time you think a thought, that thought becomes the default thought. So like for me, when I was in high school, I was really good at math, you know? And then when I got to college, I struggled with math. And so I would spit the same line all the time. I'm not good at math. You know, I suck at math. I'm bad at math. I don't have a math brain. You know, I'm right side dominant or left side dominant, whatever that thing is about one side of your brain does one thing better than the other side, blah, blah. But was that true? Like, did I actually suck at math? No. I hadn't taken a math class in 3 years, you know? So it was totally just a story that I was telling myself. I am good at math. I'm really fucking good at math. You know, but I told myself that I wasn't good at math for so long that like, what do you know? Bad at math. In a sociology class, I learned about the labeling theory, which in a nutshell meant like, for example, a kid in school, like let's say there's a 10-year-old boy in school and, you know, everyone's telling him, they're saying like, oh, he's misbehaving. He's a bad kid. He's got ADHD because, you know, naturally a 10-year-old boy should be able to sit still at a desk for 8 hours, you know, and pay attention. But you're telling this kid that he's misbehaving, he's a bad kid. What do you think that kid does? He becomes a bad kid. He wasn't a bad kid to begin with, but he's heard it so many times that, oh, I'm a bad kid. And so he starts to behave as such. He tries to fit the narrative of what he's hearing, all of the stories that he's hearing in his life. He fits that. The labeling theory is it is real and it is alive. I promise. Do some research on it. It is actually super, super interesting. Apply it to anything, you know? Like, your dad was a drug addict and a criminal and you live in the projects, so your life is fucked, you know? Or any other fucking story. Like, I don't know, your mom's overweight, so you're gonna be overweight because it's in your genetics. Like, this labeling theory, right? This you will be that, and now it's in your head. Oh, I will be that. And then subconsciously, you start to behave like that. You literally manifest that to become your reality. And it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be true. You make it true. You keep telling yourself this shit, so you keep believing that shit, and then boom, it's your identity now. You know? You're the fucking fat girl that's never gonna have the big butt or the flat stomach. Is that true? No, it doesn't have to be. Not unless you make it. But you've beefed up that neural connection so many times that like it's gonna take an insane amount of time and effort and energy to defeat that notion. So that's the one friend. That's the friend inside your brain. Let's talk about the other friend, right? So say you decide, fuck this, I want to change, right? And you start actually doing it. You start working out and meditating and you know, like destroying all those bullshit neural connections, right? And you feel great. You feel fucking awesome. But then here comes Becky. Here comes your best friend, Becky. You and her have always been the two overweight girls in school. And every time you get together, you know, you go out, you eat shit food, and you come home and, you know, you talk shit about everyone else at school and, you know, you find anything and everything wrong with everybody else to make yourselves feel better about yourselves, right? That's your relationship with Becky. So here comes Becky. And like at this point, you're a totally different person. You are feeling great. You're You are changing your behaviors. You're on a better path. But Becky's the same. And you love Becky. She's your best friend. But you don't want to be that person anymore. So you got two choices. You can, go back to those old behaviors. You and Becky can hang out, talk shit about everybody else, and make yourself feel better about being pieces of shit. You can go back to that. That's comfortable. That's easy. Or you can stand strong in your principles. You can decide that you want to be better, And if Becky loves you, she'll support you. And maybe you'll even bring her along with you. Maybe you'll even help her get better. But what's more likely, unfortunately, is that while Becky may love you very much, she will hate herself more than she loves you. And she will try to pull you back into that misery to keep her company. So with this friend, the second friend, it's not about you. And this is something you really have to keep in mind. Like, the world is in a very serious state of dis-ease right now. COVID has all of us fucked up for one thing, but the United States specifically, which I'm going to talk about the US because I don't know dick about the rest of the world because I don't live in the rest of the world. I live in the US. But in the US, we're all fucked up, dude. We are in turmoil. We are split into two groups, man. Left or right. Democrat or Republican, Trump or Biden, gay or straight, black or white. I'm sure there's more, And we're calling each other names like those fucking libtards or the racist fucking right. Like, we are fucking ugly people. We are being so ugly. We're an ugly nation. We are having some serious problems. And it's affecting everyone. Even if you're not like one of the big voices in this whole thing, even if, you're kind of just staying out of it and watching it, like behind closed doors in your home or maybe on Instagram, you're liking certain pictures. Like, everyone has a notion of one side or the other. Whether or not you want to admit it, it's fucking true. We are divided more so than we've been in a very long time. Definitely in my lifetime. Or what I remember from my lifetime, because I wasn't paying attention my whole lifetime, but you get it. We're fucked up. And why are we fucked up? And this is the big question that I even keep asking myself because I can't fucking figure it out. Why are we so bent out of shape about these stupid fucking problems? So really, when Becky gets pissed off because she's comparing herself to you, it's not about you. It's not about you at all. No one is thinking about anybody else but themselves right now. No one is looking to have their minds changed. No one is looking to dig deeper and look inward or look outward and realize that we're all hanging out on a fucking floating rock in space. Instead, we choose to focus on bullshit, mundane political social crises. That's not what's important. We want to point fingers and talk about who's right and who's wrong when really none of that shit fucking matters. So my question for you is why? Why would you rather waste your time getting angry about bullshit instead of just doing what makes you happy and not giving a single fuck about what everyone or anyone else thinks? Remember, floating rock. If nothing fucking matters, why not focus on what matters to you? Why not get your nose out of everyone else's business and do what makes you happy and let them do what makes them happy and all just try to do something good with what little fucking time we have left on this planet? I'm not saying donate all your money to, cancer research or go to a home, volunteer to homeless shelter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you start doing things that make you happy, you become a happier person. And when you become a happier person, you start treating other people better. And when you start treating other people better, other people become happier and they want to emulate what you are doing because you become a light in the world. And people will gravitate towards the happy light. So the point is just, decide. Decide who you want to be. Decide what makes you happy. Decide to not give a fuck. Honestly, decide not to give a single fuck what other people think or give a single fuck what anyone else is doing. Just do what makes you happy. Sure, some things about government get in the way of your happiness. Sure. But you don't have to let it affect the way that you behave as a human being, talking to other human beings. You don't have to let it do that. Decide to put in the effort to become who you want to be. Stop being lazy. Stop making excuses. Stop wasting your time. Stop listening to that shitty roommate in your head or that shitty friend whose opinion you've put so much fucking stake into for whatever reason. Stop worrying about all of that shit and just fucking send it. Just do what makes you happy and be the change that you want to see in yourself. So yeah, that's all I got. If you stayed to the end, thank you. It's kind of probably a rough edit, but I really wanted it to go on YouTube because I want lots of people to see it so that maybe we can stop all this childish bullshit that's going on in the United States. That would be kind of cool. Okay, more health stuff next week, and I will make sure that the video is good when I record the podcast so I don't have to record 2 of the same podcast. Okay. Happy Tuesday. I love you.